like, remember when you used to play tic-tac-toe?
Yeah.
Very young, right? And
I
then at
got
some
kids,
point,
so I play it all
yeah,
the time.
right. And at some point, as a kid, you realize this is not a game worth playing anymore,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's a cat's game every time,
Yeah.
right? There's no winning this game, so you take on a bigger game, right? Whatever that may, you start playing Monopoly or whatever
Right.
and that's kind of a metaphor for what I like to do with people is have them play a bigger game, a game that's worthy of who they are now.
All right, welcome back once again. This is the Rock Your Gift podcast where we operate right at the intersection between business, personal growth, and creativity. And I'm super excited about today's guest. His name is Jim McLaughlin. And Jim is not only the author of a book called Elevate, but he's also the creator of a program called The Path to Extraordinary. He's a TEDx organizer, and he's a leadership coach. So great to have you, Jim.
Thanks, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get into this because you're amazing, man. You've got incredible things that you say, that you do. You're a speaker. You put yourself out there. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for how awesome you are, but I'm really excited to get into this. So why don't you kind of take us back for a little bit? Tell us, like, right now, first of all, like, how would you describe what you do and how did you get into it?
How do I describe what I do? Well, I I work with people in business to elevate, hence the name of the book, to elevate their not just their performance, but their experience of being a business owner, of making a difference in the world in the way that they choose to through their vocation, through their profession, whatever that may be. Because we spend so much of our energy and our time and our life on that, other than raising a family. I don't know that there's anything more significant of an impact that we can have, not just for others, but also in the experience of doing that. So having that be the best experience possible and making the greatest difference in the world through who you are, your creative genius, whatever that may be, is just a rich experience and a rich place to witness from and contribute to. And years ago, somebody told me, or came up in a conversation, that you're like a launching pad for other people's
Mm,
success. And I thought, I kind of like that.
yeah, yeah, that's special. What are the kind of people that you work with, kind of business owners?
Oh, it's all over the map. I've worked with realtors. I currently work with realtors, so small operations, and some realtors have larger operations. I've worked for the local community college district up there to help people within that organization see beyond what I like to call seeing beyond the edge of their cubicle into what else needs to happen here,
Mm,
so that's an aspect of their leadership is because there can be a lot of status quo thinking going on, particularly
totally.
in a large organization, but even in this small organization up here, that can happen too. So recognizing that there's more to see or more to do and breaking through our barriers and our perceptions of things to, have something happen that wasn't going to happen all by itself.
Yeah, how did you get into that? That sounds like you must have had some experiences or some trainings or some breakthroughs. Like, what led you to be the kind of person that wants to help people with that kind of thing?
Well, I think one of my strong suits or attributes that has served me kind of throughout my life, well, not maybe not always, but is curiosity. I was when I was since I was very young, I wanted to become a doctor so I could because it was fascinating what they did, and we had this medical guide at home, and I would look through it, and every chapter was a different system in the body: the endocrine system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the reproductive, and on and on. It was just like, oh my gosh, there's all these things going on inside the human body. Well, I didn't become a doctor like I originally intended to, but I did remain in that science world. I became a geologist
Mm,
actually, and because there's so much to uncover, so much to discover, and the wow factor that came along with those discoveries, like that mountain over there. Oh, it's a volcano. Oh, what? It's a volcano. Sharing these things with others and seeing them experience that as well. And I was also interested in psychology along the way, like what makes people behave? the way that they do. When I was growing up, both of my parents were smokers. And this was also around the time that, it became a big deal to quit smoking. And it was like, what's going on that they can't quit smoking or don't want to quit smoking? It's harmful. It smells bad. There's so many negative things going on. So that was a little bit of an influence
Yeah.
into what makes people behave the way they behave, including
Mm.
myself.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had several experiences throughout my life where I had to re-examine, like, what am I doing? What am I thinking about? The rug being pulled out from under me is the kind of the way that I often think about it. And in that sort of tumble, in that free fall, I learned something new about myself, or just a new pathway opened up, or a new doorway opened up, or I recognized some way of operating, some assumptions or some, patterns that just weren't serving me anymore. I needed to be playing at a different level, playing a different game. It's like, remember when you used to play tic-tac-toe? You were
Yeah.
very young, right? And
I
then at
got
some
kids,
point,
so I play it all
yeah,
the time.
right. And at some point, as a kid, you realize this is not a game worth playing anymore,
Totally. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because it's a
yeah,
cat's game every time,
yeah,
right? There's
yeah.
no winning this game. So
Yeah,
you take on a bigger game, right?
yeah,
Whatever that may, you start playing Monopoly or whatever
right.
yeah, and that's kind of a metaphor
Mhm,
for what I like to do with people is have them play a bigger
mm,
game, a game that's worthy of who they are now. Because
mm.
when we start our business or whatever we start, by the time we get up to some, along the way we grow and we develop and we learn things and we unlearn some things,
Yeah,
right? And then we get there and then, this is a place where I like to work with people is they reach a plateau, right? Where it's like everything's working, everything's stable, but there's maybe an itch for something more, or there's a little bit of, boredom can set in or complacency. And a client once told me, complacency kills. And I thought, wow, that's bold, but it's kind of true,
mhm,
right?
totally.
And I noticed in my own life when I was on a plateau that I would start sabotaging things just to mix it up and maybe create a little chaos for myself so life would be a little bit more interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds dysfunctional, it probably was, but it caused me to get to some new place in my life.
that's great, and, like, specifically around leadership coaching, like, did you go through a lot of leadership training? Like, how did you come around to that side of coaching?
Well, it is because I started looking at what am I really doing or what's really happening when I'm living my life on purpose. And that was the big shift for me. I used to kind of take what came along and made the best of it. And then when that stopped working, divorce and layoff, like back to back, well, how did I get here? Well, maybe I need to start living my life towards something
Totally.
rather than waiting, just going through life and
Mm,
making the best of it, which I was pretty successful at until I wasn't, right?
yeah,
And so it started to occur to me like, well, this is what I'm doing is leading my own life, right? Is creating a vision for what I want to have happen, the kind of life that I want to live. And then, well, what's the pathway? What's the roadmap? What are the steps I need to take
mhm,
to have that be realized? And of course, all the insecurities would come up. It was like, well, who do I think I am, or I'm not good at that, and all that. And that's just what there was to like part or set aside or overcome. And getting on the other side of it was like, well, that wasn't so bad,
right,
right?
always. Yeah, it's always like this feeling of like, why did I put myself through so much torment when on the other side of this, it feels like this. So, what I want to know about is some of the things that you do with your clients. Like, what are some of the things that really you feel like are critical things they need to do to move through and get to that next level? Like, how do you help them?
Yeah, one of the things that I am fond of saying is it all starts with vision.
Hmm.
And not like vision, like seeing, but having a vision.
Yeah.
More like having a picture in your mind of what success, whatever that means to you, whatever that is for you, so that I don't know, it's repeatable, it's memorable. When I have an image in my mind,
Yeah.
I can recall that image a lot more readily than say a phrase or something, but they do kind of go together, right? So I say it all starts with vision. Everything that I've
What is the,
accomplished.
sorry to cut you off. What is the type of vision? Like, are you talking about like a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? Does it matter how long? Also, do you have them write it out? Is it a long paragraph or is it a short thing?
Good question. As far as the timeline goes, I usually work in 1 year. Right now, I will
Okay.
bring up. It depends on the client and how they, how they are, how they respond to it. It may be a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, or what's your exit strategy? Have you thought
Uh-huh.
about what the exit from your
So it
business will look
depends on the
like?
person,
It
how
pretty much does,
the
yeah.
horizon, if you will.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, depending on, where they are on their
Mhm.
own pathway,
Mhm.
their own trajectory.
Yeah.
Often people will bring up retirement, because maybe they're later in
Right.
their
I think that's
career.
great to flex it based on the person. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. That makes it, well, it makes it organic or dynamic,
Yeah, yeah.
rather than sort of a one size fits all
Totally.
kind of a thing, because not
100%.
everybody's going to fit into that.
You're right.
And I'm more, interested and challenged by, having like, let's look at where you're at, because everybody has a unique situation, although there's commonalities to all of it. And thinking, okay, what is that next thing for you? So, going back to the vision, it's or the exit. If we haven't even thought about, what do I want to do with this business, that could be what gets them to that next level, what has them
Mhm.
leave the plateau they're on and go, what, I want to get this business ready to sell.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I want to sell it, but if I have it ready to sell, I have that option,
Mhm.
right? And along that journey, along that path, you're going to learn things. You're going to grow some more. Right? You're going to discover things and you're going to be re-energized and re-enthused by that vision.
Yeah. And so is it a paragraph? Like what is it? What is the tangible kind
Oh,
of
yeah. So I have it be. Well, I have people imagine it. I go through a process that
Mhm.
has people really envision. It's kind of like a guided meditation, and just like write everything out that comes up during that. And that may be 3 pages of narrative. It may be 8 bullet
Gotcha.
points. It depends on
Right.
the individual and
Right.
how they
That
process
makes
and
sense.
how they see things. And many people will say, this is hard, I've never done anything like this before.
Yeah. And you're like, good.
Yeah. Right, this is
Yeah.
how you get started, because
Totally.
it all starts with vision. Otherwise, without that, I mean, that's the pull.
Totally.
Without that, you're just like a pinball.
Yeah.
You're bouncing off of things that you don't want to do and trying to find the
Exactly.
comfort zone and not put too much at risk.
Ah, it's so good. I think that this is so it's overlooked because it's talked about a lot, right? You hear about vision, you hear about it in a lot of personal growth things, but the real question for anybody who's really wanting to take a bold step, as you watch this, as you listen to this, is are you clear? Like if you could explain it to somebody, do you feel like you could communicate it? I find that most people are really unclear and that a lot of people have this like this block that they purposefully don't want to go there. Either they're consciously choosing not to because they have problems with setting goals and trying to, and they didn't succeed at those things. So they have like this feeling like, I don't want to set that. Or they say the things, oh, tell God your plans and he laughs kind of thing. Right.
Hmm.
And then there's people who are just totally unconscious of the fact that they like are rejecting that.
Yeah.
So like I think it's huge, and at the same time, like it's such a great thing when you are working in a coaching relationship because you've got that accountability, you've got that person saying, "Let me see it, let me hear it," and it kind of
Hmm.
forces that person to like make it happen. And then, like you're saying, it's like it gives you this trajectory. So I absolutely love that. Is there anything else you want to say about vision?
Yeah, just to fully answer your question, what does that look like? A paragraph. I mentioned bullet points,
Yeah,
but then it gets distilled down to something that you kind of have in your back pocket, because you sharing your vision of your company is not just for yourself. It's for your potential hires. It's for investors, if that's part of
right.
it. It's to your marketplace. This is who we are. This is what we're up to. Now, maybe worded slightly differently, but if you want somebody to join your team, they're going to want to know where you're headed,
Totally.
right? Not just you're fitting somebody into a box on the org chart or something like that. People want to play for a winning team, that kind of a thing. So if I say, in football, like, we're going to the Super Bowl this year, it's like, I want to be part of that, right? Whatever the Super Bowl represents in your business is that.
Yeah, it gets everybody like excited about the plan and where we're going. I just realized too, there's two visions, right? There's the personal vision and then there's the business vision.
Mhm.
And it sounds like you're talking about the business vision, but it also kind of sounds like they're intertwined a little bit. How
Well,
do you
with
see that?
Well, because if without people, you don't really have a business, right?
Mm,
Without conversation, you don't really have a business. Conversations like, "Hey, I need you to do this," right? And yes, I did that, right? The not just the accountability side of it, but actually the engagement of it. And so having that vision be driving the communication, and also sort of rooting out some of there's a lot of nonsense that happens, right, up here, but also in organizations. I have this sort of rule of thumb that I use, that most organizations are about 40% effective, right? And it works, and it's still working, right? But wow, there's this huge opportunity for tightening things up, and I don't mean working harder, right? I mean working more efficiently, more smooth. If we're all rowing the boat in the same direction, we can get to the other side of the river a lot more easily.
but what about if you're talking to a business owner and they're like, they need to define their personal vision, which is like, you know, what matters to them. They want to buy a house, they want to have kids, or they want, right? It's like very much something you wouldn't share with like your shareholders or whatever.
Fair
And
enough.
then you've got this business vision that's like where we're going, and I want you on the team. Do you see those things as separate? Do you see them as the same? Do you help people with both? Like what comes up when I split them into those categories?
Yeah, I think it's very important to have what your vision or your mission both include, is what difference is it going to make for the world?
Mm,
Like, why does your business matter?
got it.
Why should I care? I'm borrowing this from Simon Sinek. Is one of the
Yeah,
things that he says in his talk is, why should we care?
yeah,
Right? So if your business, I mean, we're all in business to solve somebody's problem, at some level, right? To whether I need a house, I've outgrown my house, or I need to be better at what I do, right? To be more effective so that I
yeah.
can serve more people, so that I can have the experience of having an impact in the world.
Yes, got it. So the why kind of connects into that personal side. I'll say that I think that I have weak areas in like the business vision. Like I have really, I spend a lot of time on my personal vision. And I think that I could do a much better job of like where I want to go. And I wonder what is in my way because I do feel resistance.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly why, but I feel like it sounds like hard work. It sounds like heavy lifting to me.
Yeah, like the business, running the business
The
side,
business vision,
the business
the like
vision.
writing the business vision and like conceptualizing that. For some reason, that's like I've got some stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is that? How does that show up? Like, as resistance, and like, what are you doing?
I'm not writing one. Like I don't have it written
What makes you think you need one?
because we're talking about it and a lot of other business, people like who are really smart are doing it and I'm
Right.
like I don't have that.
What am I missing? Yeah, well, so and these kinds of things get in our way sometimes. It's like everybody else seems to think it's a good idea. Why is it not working for me, or why do I not get it? And so this is, sort of 30,000 foot. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but this reminds me of when people say, I'm afraid of rejection, or I'm
Mhm.
afraid of failure.
Mhm.
These are conceptual,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then I ask, like, what's actually happening when that shows up?
Mhm.
So when you think you need to have a business vision,
Mhm.
like, what's going on when that shows up? Like, if I were a fly on the wall watching you,
Yeah.
what would you be doing when you think I should have a business vision, or
Well,
I can
I
have?
think that I'm not thinking long term enough about like what is my not my end game. I feel like I don't even know my middle game. Like, I feel like I definitely have like a 12-month like clarity, right? For me, like that's not an issue. I know where I'm going at the end of this, maybe even 3 years,
Hmm.
in the sense that like I have objectives, right? And I want to get the revenue to this level and I want to see this many people come into the program or whatever. or I want to improve the program in these particular ways. But when I think about, like, what if I wanted to like really envision, um, like a bigger organization that I eventually sell or something like that. Like
There you go. You're
I
on your way.
I just that's the
Where did
first
that come
time I,
from? Right?
like I don't
See, this is
go
how it
that
happens,
far.
right?
Yeah. So, but I love like even you bringing it up because it's like, okay, now I know what's missing. That can give me a little more clarity. And just going back to like what's in the way for me, I think that I feel like I don't want to box myself in maybe.
Ah,
That's probably what it is.
mhm.
Like I don't want like there's those kind of things change, and I've in the past I think I've said things and then like as time moved on those things kind of I didn't want to be beholden to them like they weren't me anymore or something. So I didn't
Yeah,
really know where I'm going to be at that
I
point,
totally get that.
you know?
It's like, well, how can I commit to that when I don't even know how to do it?
Yeah.
Might be one.
Right.
Or what if it doesn't work out?
Mhm.
Right? What does that mean about me if it doesn't work out? And I can't, what if I tell people and then they go, hey, what happened to that thing you were working
Mhm.
on? And then I
Right.
got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right? It's yeah,
Or
that's
commitment, like
yes, exactly. It's
committing and
exactly what
like
it
I don't want
is.
to commit. Like
Right?
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
want
no, no. Nobody wants to commit. Your vision has you commit.
Mhm.
It's by seeing that and going, I can't not do that. I was for that instance, I used the example of asking my wife to marry me. I mean, I think that's probably could be one of the hardest questions a guy has to ask, traditionally, is to ask that question, and because the consequence of the no is unbearable, right? Or at least the
Right.
perception
Yeah, it
of like
is. Like the whole
I'll be
world falls
devastated. I'll
apart.
be yeah, pretty much
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's it. The whole world falls apart. I don't know if I want to risk that, but when I see raising a family with her, coming home to her, growing old together,
Mm,
having our, sharing vacations together,
mm,
seeing the world. It's like,
mm.
I can't not ask that
Right, it's
question.
that vision is bigger than those things.
Yes. And that's why it all
Yeah,
starts with vision.
yeah, that's great. I love it. All right, so what happens next from vision? Where do you go with your clients?
Well, we start out with that vision. Where are you going to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years, your exit? And then it's from there, it's kind of the nuts and bolts of it, of planning. Right? If I'm, if I wanted to, say I like to use weight loss because it's simple and something everybody can identify with, and it's numerical. If I wanted to lose, 50 pounds this year, well, halfway through the year, how much do you think you will have lost?
Right.
Well, maybe 25, and then break that down into, it's kind of like the how you eat an elephant one bite at a
Yeah,
time. It's then breaking it down to what do I need to do
got it.
today to get to my 10-year goal, right? Because I'm not thinking about my 10-year goal is so abstract,
Yeah,
right? Well, year's a little easier, right? Because that's what you do,
yeah,
right? You can see the end of the year. We can imagine, and even more so, we can imagine the month, right? So taking my weight loss example, if it was like, oh, I just need to lose 2 pounds this month. I know the math with 50 isn't there, but
yeah,
that's the idea. It was like, oh, okay, I can see myself doing that. I just need to, stop eating donuts every day and ice cream every night, right?
yeah,
Breakfast of donuts and dinner, that,
yeah,
or go to the gym more,
right.
whatever that may be. See a doctor,
Yeah,
get some nutritional advice, stop responding to ads
yeah,
or drive-throughs, that
yeah,
kind of a thing. Whatever you can see yourself doing that,
totally.
a much more of a short term. So
That makes sense.
like yourself, I mean, I think you live in the moment more than you live in the
Yeah,
future. And it's kind of having one foot in both,
yeah,
because you have to appreciate and be grateful for what you have and where you are, and acknowledge what got you where you are, your family, your coworkers, your clients, all of that. And and have this direction. Something you said earlier made me think, I don't really know. I don't, how can I commit to something when I don't know it's going to happen?
mhm,
Well, but it gives you a direction. And
yeah,
that direction is aligned
right,
with who you are and what matters to you.
mhm,
And if somewhere down that road there's an intersection and you decide, oh, I'm going to go this way, you're still probably in the same direction of what really matters to you
yeah,
fundamentally. And yeah, if you take a little veer, or you decide, because until you get to that intersection, you don't see that other option.
yeah, yeah,
You don't see that other opportunity. You don't see what you can't see until you get
yeah,
there.
yeah,
And so you need to have that flexibility. And, life has shown us, right? How many times have you changed direction
Yeah.
in your life?
So
Probably a
many.
lot,
Yeah.
right? For me, it feels like a lot. And sometimes they've been 180s
Mhm.
and 90s. And that gives me the background to like, okay, I've been there. I
Yeah.
know what that's like.
I love that though. Like this, the sounds like once they set that vision, starting to like kind of put the goals out and kind of looking at, okay, what do I need to do this month or this week or whatever, this quarter in order to be on track with that thing. I wonder too, for you, do you come across, I assume, a lot of resistance or mindset stuff or, old habits? Like, I mean, I think the thing that's really the biggest challenge to me is that in spite of the fact that I'm always growth oriented and I'm reading and I'm trying to learn, right? In spite of all of that, I've noticed that, old habits die hard. Like I'm trying to learn something and like I'm like, I got to keep pushing this thing to learn it because like my brain just sticks in the old way of doing things. So I imagine you have clients that have some of those stuckness or ways they don't want to do the things. Like, can you give us some examples of anything like that where like you've had to use mindset shifts or what are some of the ways you help
Oh
people
my
when they're
gosh.
like
Yeah, I mean,
resistant?
I'm my own greatest client, right? For sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get it. And you mentioned my brain, and that's really a big, well, to me, a big part of it is recognizing that it's not you, it's your brain, right? Your brain works in a particular way. Habits are habits because of the physiology, which is tied to the psychology, or maybe not psychology, but the way that you think about it.
Hmm.
So even saying old habits die hard does what? Reinforces that
Reinforces it.
habits are hard to
I should
break,
stop
right?
thinking that.
Well, you could try and see what happens.
That's a good idea.
Because that's really once you open up crack something open a little bit
Mhm.
and bring, doubt in this case to
Yeah.
that, it's like, well, maybe that's not
Hmm.
true.
Yeah, maybe
What
not.
if that weren't true?
That would be great. I move a
What if
lot
I
faster.
wasn't? What if that wasn't who I
That's a
am?
great, great
Right? And then
feedback.
and then what do you know? Now you're at this intersection, right? And you start looking toward, oh, maybe old habits don't have to die hard. Maybe I just have to put my mind to it
Hmm.
or something. It
Yeah.
will come up, as you start exploring, different thoughts will start to emerge. But when you're locked into, yeah, old habits die hard, I'm
Right.
never going to change. This is the way that I always
I
will
love
be.
that.
This is my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
All of
So
that.
helping people with their beliefs and with their assumptions and
Yeah.
like their stories and
Yeah.
all this
Because there's a
stuff.
reason all
Yeah.
those are in place,
Hmm.
right? All those, it could be said, and I say it. What's the brain's number one job?
Keep us safe.
Keep us alive,
Yeah. Right.
survival,
Right.
right? And so all of these structures that we have built in place are, many of them are just to have us survive, to have us make it, have us get through the day. You hear people talking about this. I just
Hmm.
need to get through the day, or, if I can survive this, right? You hear it in the way people speak. And so, and it makes sense when you look back or you just consider what's the brain's number one job? It's my survival. It's not just my physical survival, but it's also the survival of myself, who I know myself to be. We become very attached
Right.
to our, you
Right.
could call it identity, whatever it is,
Right.
this sense of who we are. Because if I'm not who I think I am, who the heck am I? And now that's where the adventure begins.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great and really like illustrative. So like helping me think about that differently was really a great example and showing kind of your natural skill in action, which is really cool to see. I want to talk a little bit about speaking because you are the organizer of a TEDx, and I believe that's Temecula. Is that
Yes,
correct?
TEDx Temecula.
Awesome. And so you are a speaker and you help speakers. I would just love to hear like what are some of the things that you've seen that have made um, speakers that you've helped or your own skill like what's some tips or some things that have been really like effective that you found?
Great, great. I love this topic because up until fairly recently, I would never, ever find myself on a stage or with a microphone. And I have enough experiences of my past in doing that. It was awful. I never wanted to do it again. So to see where I am now as a
Mm,
result of the vision that I had for organizing an event, and I started I took on Toastmasters and I started getting, because I was tired of having that fear. But to
Mhm.
answer your question directly, um, what what I look for in a an applicant, if somebody who wants to speak, is what is that thing that strikes me deeply,
Mm.
right? We have a lot of applicants that are, they're speakers, they're authors,
Mhm.
they're coaches, and of course, it's a great way to grow your business is to
Mhm.
have a TED talk. But what I don't really want to see on a TEDx stage is the 5-letter acronym for how to get your goals. They have value.
Right.
They're important. They're meaningful. They make a huge difference. But in a TEDx talk, I want to hear more about, like, and it's not just the origin story, but it's kind of how you got there. I want to know more about the person
Mm.
than it is about what they're saying. I mean, they go hand in hand, right? Like, what caused that to show up for you, right? And it's not easy. It's not something you can necessarily put your finger on,
Mm. I love that.
but it's something that when you hear it, when you see it, it's like, that's a talk I want to hear. Right.
That
And you
makes
you see
sense.
this when if you're perusing through TED Talks,
Mhm.
the title will jump out at you, or the person, something about the person, or I don't know, something will emerge from that. But that's really what I'm looking for, and that's where, when I'm coaching speakers through the process,
Mm.
is I want, like, what had you come up with that? Like, what led to that? We had a speaker a few years ago who was talking about. This was a few years back, because it's almost commonplace now, but the fascination with the phones. And his story starts, he went to see the Mona Lisa at the Louvre in Paris. And what he noticed was a room full of people that were all doing this. They were all taking a picture
Yeah.
of the Mona Lisa rather than actually experiencing
Yeah.
the Mona Lisa. And somewhere along the line, I asked him the question about, why do people do that? And I wish I could remember exactly what that was, but it caused him to go in a direction with his talk, and it was a talk he'd given before, but and it allowed him to add something to it, which in the end he said that was really valuable. We had another speaker who, uh, at the end of it, he said, I've never really looked at my life this way before. Because he really examined through the questions that I was mentioning to you before about, like, what led you to that? Because sometimes we experience life as a bunch of random events, but there's a commonality to it, right? There's a core, or something there that has it all be linked together that sometimes we don't even evaluate ourselves. So, I mean, maybe that went off a little bit of a tangent.
No, that's good. I love that. I think when I think about TED Talks, I think that there's always some kind of like cultural or like thing that is like some new, not new, but like bring an idea out that is like really important for us to like be aware of or something. It might be, about the the planet, or it might be about technology, and so thinking about it from like what made you like that and kind of the story behind that is cool for me to understand, to think about that personal place. Is there also this like we're looking for something that's like some kind of like idea that people haven't heard of, or that we haven't seen it in this way, or that people need to hear?
Yeah, it's an interesting process, because one of the things you want to have at an event is a variety of
Hmm.
topics. Not
Yeah,
everybody talking about the same
got
thing,
it.
right? And not all like personal development things, certainly, or not even. Anyway, broad range of topics, so that there's something there for everybody,
Yeah.
and that people will be exposed to things maybe they wouldn't be exposed to if they go search, the things that we go searching for. Um, but it really is, the tagline for TED, they've changed it recently, but it was ideas were spreading.
Oh, okay. They
So
changed it.
what is that idea? What's that core thing that you could either weave through your talk, or is, like I said, the source of it all? So we don't go looking for the ideas. We go looking for I don't we don't go looking for specific ideas. People will say to me all the time, "Oh, I know this great speaker."
Hmm.
It's like, well, I'm not looking for great speakers.
Hmm.
I'm looking for great ideas and the people that go with them. Because we can have anybody go up on that stage and shine. If that idea is something we're spreading, we if it's at the core of who you are, and you can express that, and that's what we work with people on doing, then you're going to be riveting, right? When it's at the
Yeah.
core rather than something that is
Yeah.
memorized like a school project. There's something about it.
Do you think that if if somebody's trying to, like, first of all, what are some ways that people can prepare if they want to apply, not apply, but like if they want to start creating that talk, like how should they prep themselves? And do you think that like if somebody has a purpose or like a calling, like that should be a place to look or not so much?
I think there's something about it that, like, this is something that I need to share. Like, more people need to know about this,
Hmm.
right? It's like that versus this is gonna help me grow my business.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Means
it's
to an
pretty cut
end.
and dry. Yeah, we had one of my I shouldn't say one of my favorites, like picking your favorite children, but we had a speaker a few years ago who was a veterinarian, and she started talking about everybody's image of going to the vet and the puppies or dogs coming out and being all better and all that. Well, then she adds that she's an emergency room veterinarian,
Mm,
and the animals that come to her are in pretty dire condition, and some of them, they euthanize them.
mhm,
And her talk was all about dealing with the grief, not just the person that has to make that call, but also her own.
mm,
And when I saw her
mm,
application, I thought, that's a talk that I need to hear. That's a talk that I think the world needs to hear, our
mm.
community needs to hear. And so
That
it's
makes
it's
sense.
like that. Like
Yeah,
like when
right.
you come across a topic like that,
Like
it's like,
that's gonna have like mass appeal.
yeah.
Like people need to hear this.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so she's not talking about the nuts and bolts of what she does
right.
and how, you should come to my veterinarian office,
Yeah.
emergency room on top of that. But it's about like what's beneath that. Like what do you know that nobody else knows? It's kind of like, and sometimes we don't recognize
Yeah.
our own genius,
It's
right?
tough. Yeah.
We don't see it. We take it for granted, right? And so we don't, and I'm guilty, right? We don't, and so we don't share it. We don't explore that, right? I know I have a tendency towards humility, which it can be both a strength and a weakness. So I'm quick to go, oh, that's not that important, or that's not that big of a deal, or people say I was just doing my job, right? Like that kind of thing. It's like, no, what you do matters. What you do makes a difference,
Hmm.
and you need to get that,
Yeah.
right? And then as you get that, it's like, you know what? My getting that might have some value for somebody else.
Mm.
Because I
That's
know where I was before that, right? And how impactful that was for me.
mhm.
So it comes from that place. And
Yeah.
thank you for asking, because this is a difficult question to answer, is
Yeah.
what makes a great TED applicant.
Yeah.
But that's really how I see it emerging.
Yeah. I love that. What advice do you have for people who want to get on TEDx? Like in terms of like they're there, they're like, this, I want to do this. Like, what do they do?
Yeah, well, it's really getting to that place is like, why do I want to do it? For
Uh-huh.
one thing, if it's like, oh, it's on my bucket list, that's not enough.
Right.
Now, and I will say, I
Uh-huh.
should add rather that
Gotcha.
every TEDx organizer is free to choose however they want to
Right.
choose.
Right.
Okay, so but when I'm looking, it's through that lens of what altruistic, is that the word? People need to know. People need to know this.
Yeah.
People. I've discovered
It's gonna make
this.
an impact. It's gonna make a difference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's about making a difference in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. So
Not
find like what you really have to say that is really like a burning thing that needs to be shared more than like I want to be visible. I want to get a TEDx or something
yeah,
like more
your
ego
or
based.
and some people will say, I just want to bring awareness to this. And I said, that's not enough.
Mhm.
Because it's like, well, people are aware and they don't know what to do.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
They don't know how to make an impact on
Uh,
that issue, because yeah, it matters. Yeah, it's important, but I don't see a pathway. I don't see a step to take.
mm,
So one of the things I always say to the speakers when I'm coaching is I want people to come up to you on the break or after the event and say, my life isn't going to be the same because of what you shared.
Mm. It
Like,
really did a tangible shift for
yeah,
them. Yeah.
like something shifted
Yeah.
that they are not going to see things the same way or that thing the same way ever
Yeah.
again.
This is so good. I'm so glad we got into that. We have a few more minutes. In a few minutes, I'd love for you to share for people how they can connect with you. But before we get into that, I want to just come back to this path to extraordinary that you stand for and just ask you, like, what is really the centerpiece of that for you, like helping people step into extraordinary. I know we've had some conversations about the hero's journey and that kind of thing, but I just love for you to share anything else that really like lights you up about that.
Yeah, thanks. I noticed, and through my own experiences of reinvention, I'll call it, and mostly not me choosing the reinvention. Like something happens in the environment, a layoff or a divorce or something like that, and then having to climb that next mountain to get there. Uh, I say, I want you to have the tools. I want you to have the abilities to be able to cause your own disruption in your business, in your life, but particularly through the lens of your business, so that you can be resilient or and anti-fragile, if you're familiar with that term, made better. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Like have an appetite for that because with the ever increasing rate of change, right? We really need to have some tools available to us to not just like work harder to get through it, but to actually see new opportunities, new places to go. So it's really about like where am I? Where do I want to go? Sort of the visioning fits into that, but also to tap into your creativity. What can I do? And then it's an adventure. So I'm an outdoorsman. I was a geologist and a backpacker, and it's not so much about getting to the peak, right? Because as soon as you get to the peak, right, guess what? There's another peak
Yeah.
over there. And so if you look at yourself as it's not about arriving, right? It's about being a climber.
Yeah.
It's about what is the hike? What is the adventure? What is the what's the turmoil I'm going to put myself through? I look back on this was a aha moment I had a few years ago was I look back on all the backpacking trips that I've taken, and even when I was anticipating them, I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I'm slow. I have low endurance. I'm always the last person into camp. These are my memories anyway. Why would I put myself through that? And then those moments along these trips where I thought I was going to die. Like crossing a river that we shouldn't have been crossing, but that's how we get out. Like that. And it's like, why do I remember the worst parts of it? And I thought, well, it's because I made it, because I prevailed,
Right.
because I was victorious over that. And that's what made it meaningful. That's what made it worth doing. That's what makes it worth remembering. It
Totally.
was like, wow, I thought against all odds and all the chatter in my head about how did you get yourself into this mess? What were you thinking? All of that. It's like, well, I put myself here because I wanted to have the experience of it, right? I wanted to have the joy of the vistas and the clean air and the nature and what I call the real world. People go on vacation and they say, I'm coming back to the real world. I say, well, you might consider that just, make your real world more like
Yeah.
the natural world, or make it more like the adventure that you have when you go on a vacation. Make your life be about that, not about keeping the wheels on the bus, not about managing, not about maintaining, but on actually having your business be the adventure of a lifetime.
I just have to ask you, is that a TEDx talk? It sounds like one.
You are recording this, right?
Yeah, we were recording this, but like that sounds like your TEDx talk.
Well, could be. I don't know.
That's a pretty good
People have
message.
asked me, "Are you give one? Are you going to give one?" It's like I don't have anything to talk about.
That just like the rest of us.
I
So
might, I
good.
might have to give that one
I
up.
think that's your one. To me, that's the one that makes the most sense. All right. Well, let's just give the audience an opportunity to know how they can connect with you.
Great, thank you. I have so in exchange for or to get in touch with me, I created this book a few years ago. You mentioned it, Elevate. I have an ebook version that I'd be happy to give to you, and it's a collection of really meaningful quotations and a few things that I've written, some short essays that are about elevating, getting your mindset, or opening up a little doorway in your mind to that next level for yourself. So I'd be happy to share with you an ebook, and then I'll follow up with that. And if you want to have a conversation with me about taking something deeper, understanding whether it's having a TEDx talk or about your business, I would love to engage with you on a conversation. So to get things started, just text ebook, the words, the letters ebook, Ebook, I get that right, to 951-574-3004. You'll get the link to the ebook right away. And then there's also a link if you want to get a hard copy on Amazon. You can do that too.
Give them the number again. They probably
951-574-3004. And it'll show up right away. And I would love to interact and find out where you are in your journey and see what the next level might look like for you.
Yeah, well, you heard it here on the Rock Your Gift podcast. Really a pleasure to have you today, Jim. And I
Thank you,
look
Sean.
forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, peace.